It was so nice that people to come up and tell me it's just given me a voice, or it's given me some clarity on the fact that I'm not alone. And that's the power of music. It doesn't matter about streams and playlisting and stuff. When you have that impact on an individual, they're the ones that are going to come back to your show over and over again and actually want to hear the same story.
What I wanted to ask you from an example perspective of your creative process was, recently on Father's Day, you released a song around your experience about being a stepdad. And so talk to me about where that thought came from and that creative process. And, happy for you to, kind of play that through as well, if you like.
I think there was a certain point where, and this is always a challenging time for a family that's transitioning through that process, and it's always a first time. Well, generally speaking, there's always a first time where no one knows what's going to happen and no one knows how to approach it. But many people approach it maybe it maybe with the ego involved, or maybe just not thinking it through enough and not putting the kids first. I know there's probably more, harsher stories than there are nice stories about these situations. And so in a way, we're lucky to be in the situation we're in, but I did still struggle with the idea, especially I don't have children of my own, that how are these kids going to embrace me? I could be the nicest person in the world. I could be, as approachable as possible. And I know I'm good with kids. So, I've worked with kids. It's just something that innately I am a kid at heart. So I've always, I've kept the child within me my whole life. I think it's important. But that could be completely out of my control when they've got their real dad. And then there's the whole dynamic of, the relationships, not worked out for various reasons. The kids don't understand that. I try and think back of what it was like for me at that age, and I wouldn't have been able to understand that. And my parents didn't. My parents were together, and I think a lot of the people within my family and in that era stayed together, whether they were happy or not. And so I was just super scared about being accepted by these kids. So a lot of my songwriting around that time, and there's not just Never Gonna Be, there's another song called Brave, which I haven't released, which will come out next year, I would say, of me articulating that fear. And so Never Gonna Be was one of those songs, and we went through that process. So that song's more a story about how it came to fruition, and actually Brave is more about the fear and me not having met the kids yet, and me listening on the phone with kids in the background, and them not finding out about me just yet, because we're in the really initial stages. And so we've got to be really, really careful. Whereas Never Gonna Be was more telling the kids, I'm not going to try and be your dad, but I do want you to love me. And I'm here. I'm wanting this to work. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But I'm making my best. I'm giving my best effort to make this work. And we've got you at the forefront of our thoughts with every measured, decision we make. So it was that yearning for them to love me, but it was also explaining to them that I'm not here to try and replace your dad, because you got a good dad, and that's what as I mentioned before, we're lucky to have that situation where, you know, Dad and I have a nice amicable relationship, and credit to him, you know, for embracing me, and it made it a lot easier for me, and it's also made it a lot easier for the kids to go through their process to finally feel the love for me, which they do now, you know. And so yeah, there were a number of first times in that little few weeks of, you know, meeting Dad first. We had to meet Dad first because we weren't going to let the kids meet me until Dad, you know, had met Dad, and then just navigating it maturely and going, okay, the kids are still at the forefront of this. How do we? There's hurt. There's a lot of hurt there. There's communication. I remember there was a first message I sent, you know, to him saying, I know this is hard for you, but I think what you'll find is don't look at my Instagram or don't look at my social media and judge me from that, because they are, you know, obviously you're putting your best moments up on those platforms. And I said to him, I'm pretty sure we're going to find we've got a lot more in common than we do have differences. Even though it might seem on the surface like we're different, because we're just, I think my line was, because we're just two guys in the world just trying to navigate all this, and it helps, you know. And we communicated, and then we met the kids on a mutual holiday, you know. And I speak about all that in that song. So I mean, I guess the song, right, you know, speaks for itself.
Cool. Do you want to play it?
Yeah, let's give it a go. Hopefully there's no buzz. There will be a little bit, but okay. I'm going to put these headphones on like that. All right. Can you hear me there? Oh, good.
Sure can.
Would you look at that? I got another match on an online dating app. A real goddess, sudden above the rest. She goes first now, what else with that? Crazy first date, want me to stay down the street to pass you up, but take the van back to the sunny lane. Forget about that trip to Europe. Then she says just a couple of things I ain't adding more to the population. Guess I'd rather be safe in love, so let's navigate the situation. 'Cause I ain't ever gonna try to be your dad. You already got a good one. Never tell you that sometimes makes me sad. Only tell you how much I love your mom and how love always takes a different track. Never goes the way you planned it. All I ask is you try to love me back, 'cause I ain't ever gonna be your dad. Now a lot of things gone under the bridge. Your little heads wouldn't understand, yeah. We're just trying to be the best we can be. Your mom and I, we don't have the answers. We had a triple date and it went pretty great. Your daddy put on such a brave face. We had a couple drinks, then a couple more. Safe to say we got pretty wasted. Drove home just down the road, yeah, by the lake and past the station. Pretty dumb, never do it again though, for this love of the situation. 'Cause I ain't ever gonna try to be your dad. You already got a good one. Never tell you that it sometimes makes me sad. I tell you how much I love your mom and how love always takes a different track. Never goes the way you planned it. All I ask you try to love me back. 'Cause I ain't gonna be your dad. I've been through hard times too. Good times don't come for free, and if we hadn't been what we've been through, we wouldn't be who we're meant to be. How damn lucky are your mom and dad? They've got two beautiful ones. I know when sometimes make me sad, but then I think about it much. I love you, Mom. I love when it took this different track. Never went the way I planned it. I ask you to try to love me back, 'cause I ain't gonna be your dad. Oh, never, never, never gonna be the one. Never gonna be your dad. No, never, never, never gonna be your man. Never gonna be your dad.
That's awesome. I love it.
Thanks, mate.
As soon as I first heard that song, I was like, there is going to be so many people that are going to relate to this song.
Yeah, definitely.
Because in the world we live in, right, there's a lot of broken families and there's a lot of step parents, and I just feel the emotion every time I hear that song. But hearing it live through here is awesome. Can I ask, Tom, the storytelling, the relatable topics that you write about, such as this one, has there been any people that have reached out to you and kind of, talk about the impact that your songs have had on them?
Yep, definitely. I had the opportunity to play the song just prior to its release at a couple of these festivals. One was at Gympie Muster, and it was actually for a sort of a competition, which is kind of a weird concept, I guess, for music to be in a comp. But one thing it was great for, the crowd that we had there was much larger than I think most of the minor stages around, even the main stage. We had a bigger crowd there listening to our songs than some of the day acts on the main stage. And they broke the record for crowds this year in general. So it wasn't a case of them not being many people at the festival. It was record crowds. So we were really lucky. We played at this, I think it was called the Dodge Tavern stage. And, there'd probably be 400 people there. And so many people came up to me after that. I played a bunch of songs, but that's the one that stuck. I had probably 10 people, but more so there were 2 or 3 that came up and said, man, like, fan forever kind of thing, because you've basically just articulated what I can't. And all of them, and a lot of them were saying to me, you're in a lucky position, but like, kudos that you have done that, because our situation is super messy. A lot of these people have come from country towns too. So, they can't escape this reality. They've literally got to navigate it and face it head on, because they're in a little community and people talk. And I mean, that's the community I grew up in, and I know what it's like. Even as a kid and a young teenager in Western Victoria, I know that there was just chat around town that had just, spread like wildfire. And so I had a lot of empathy for them, but it was so nice that people to come up and tell me, it's just given me a voice, or it's given me some clarity on the fact that I'm not alone, and that's the power of music. When that kind of thing happens, it doesn't matter about streams and playlisting and stuff. When you have that impact on an individual, they're the ones that are going to come back to your show over and over again and actually want to hear the same story. See if you can, see if you're telling it in a 2% different way to the last time they might have heard it. But if it's coming from you live, there's something rawer than anything else about that. They might listen to it on streaming or even on a CD if they still buy that and and your merch, but to come and listen to you telling that story live and for them to be able to feel heard is a pretty special thing. And that song definitely hits home with a lot of people, as you said.
Yeah, well,
regardless of
as
the
a
fact that
stepdad, I took on kids at 8, 10 and 13 when I was 21, right? So when I listened to that, I was like, wow, like it really, and I think, through music, it's about how it makes you feel, right? So when you can relate to it, when it's got that storytelling and you can kind of just sit there and resonate with it so much, it just kind of, like, even just listening to it, and I've heard it a few times now, but listening to you play it there, I was just like almost choking up just sitting here, because it's just, I could just feel it so deeply, but I could also feel it in you as well, right? I could feel that, you're not just singing it, you're feeling it, right? And then the music's coming out of you.